Good afternoon. This is Carol Kennedy, Account Manager with ApplicantStack. We'd like to thank you for joining today. Our goal is to cover our recruit applicant tracking system. We do have some folks still dialing in, so we'll give everyone just a couple of minutes to dial in, and then we'll be back. It is just a couple minutes past, so we'll go ahead and get started. Again, this is Carol Kennedy. I'm an account manager with ApplicantStack. And on the line, I have my colleague, Brandon. He'll be helping with some questions today. We will be reviewing our recruit applicant tracking system from start to finish. It's going to be a high-level overview. We won't go into everything, but we want to give you a good idea of the functionality of the system. So this might be new to you. It might be a review. Either way, it should be helpful to you. We will have a Q&A session after our presentation today, so we will open up the floor to questions, and again, Brandon will be helping with those as they come through. I did want to mention there are a couple of things that will be coming through the chat if they haven't already. We do have an onboard webinar upcoming and a Workforce Hub webinar upcoming, so those will be posted soon, if not already. Also, following the presentation today, we will have a quick survey that will pop up at the end. So we do want to ask that you complete that if you would. We just want to make sure that we are providing useful information to you and really that you're getting the most out of these webinars. So it should just be a few questions if you don't mind. If you could take the time, that would be fantastic. With that, I'll go ahead and hop into my demo account, and I do have everybody on our homepage to start. I did want to mention a few things. We have an announcement section, so please keep an eye on that. Anytime we have an update to the system or something to mention to you, we have our webinars listed here as well. That will be listed in your announcement section, so please keep an eye on that. Your activity summary section will notify you if you have any emails for review, as an example. And then we have a tasks and events section, which will notify your users if they have any upcoming interviews or tasks that they have been assigned. Those will stay there until they have been completed. At the bottom, we have your pipeline summary that will show you your open jobs, how many candidates are in each stage of your process. You have a shortcut, and that you can click on this hyperlink number here. So if I want to see the new candidates in the accounting manager job, I can click on that number, and that will bring me into those candidates, and that will save me some time navigating through the system. Up at the top, we have a quick search, so you can search for your candidates by name, and that will allow you to find them and easily access their profiles. If you're using our onboard system, we have our toggle between the two systems here. I did want to mention texting. So if you are using our texting services, we have two different types. We have basic texting and we have premium texting. Basic texting will allow you to text your candidates from the system. You can send text in mass as well and communicate with your candidates. So maybe you want to send a quick message, hey, we'd like to bring you in for an interview. When are you available? Something of that sort. We will talk about premium texting in just a bit once we get to the appropriate screen. But premium texting has everything that basic texting does, in addition to text to apply and the ability to trigger text messages in your workflow. So again, we'll touch on that just a little bit. If you have any questions about either pricing or functionality, please let your account manager know and we'll be happy to help. The orange question mark in the upper right is important. That will allow you to access our help center. If you ever have a question about functionality or how-tos in the system, we have a knowledge base that is searchable that will return, could be a video, could be a walkthrough with screenshots, so that's a useful tool. And then we have ask a question. If you need to get in touch with our technical support team, please feel free to submit a ticket there, and a team member will be in touch with you regarding that. Okay, I did want to mention from your homepage, you can open your job board, and that will allow you to see what's been posted to your public job board that's typically tied to your company website, so you can see what your candidates are seeing. Okay, with that, so your homepage being kind of a snapshot of activity, any outstanding actions that you have. Let's go ahead, let's jump on to our jobs and show you how you would create a job in the system. You can see we have our jobs table here with various information. So maybe job type, is what job category is that in, when was that job created, last modified, what stage is that job in, where has that job been posted. So this is going to give you a snapshot of your activity. We'll go ahead and hop into our accounting manager job and show you some information there. So the first thing you would do to create a job is click on Create Job. You'll have an option to start with a blank form or from a template. For now, we'll start with blank. Job ID is going to auto-populate for you, or you can type over that. Type in your job title, select department. These are customizable to your needs. There are a number of fields here you may or may not have in your account. Again, these are customizable, so you may or may not see those, but is that a full-time or a part-time job? Where is it located, and so forth. You'll populate your job description here and do some formatting to it. You'll assign your job owner, typically your recruiter or HR user, and your hiring manager. So your hiring manager will have to be assigned to the job in order to see that job and those candidates. We have a workflow available. You could have multiple workflows for different scenarios, but that's going to allow you to automate steps in the system. We'll touch on that at the very end, but just be aware, there are options here. You'll select the appropriate one that you need that job to go through. Okay, so once you've done that, the summary tab will show you the information we theoretically just entered. And you just want to follow the tabs across from there. It's pretty intuitive. You will come over to your listing so you can preview that. Again, see what your candidates are going to see. Make sure everything looks okay. We have an Apply Now button. We have a Refer to a Friend if perhaps they know of somebody who might be interested. We do have the option for you to turn on Apply with Indeed, and that will allow candidates to apply with their Indeed profile. If you see something that needs to be modified, you can do a quick edit here. Coming over to questions, you'll attach any questions that that candidate needs to answer as they're coming through the system. So we have, for example, the application for employment. In this case, that's been included from the system settings, and that means that that will automatically attach to every job that I create in the system. If you have any position-specific questions, so in this case for an accounting manager, maybe we need to know, do you have a degree? How many years of experience do you have? You can attach those. I might suggest creating that as a template in your library, and then you can simply add that from your library. So you'll select the appropriate questionnaire and submit that. Okay, so between standard questions, position-specific questions, you can attach those to your process, so your candidates will see those as they're coming into the system. We have another option for you. You can edit attachments that will give you up to 5 fields, or your candidate up to 5 fields to attach information. So let's say you're looking for a writing sample or certification. You'll simply instruct them to attach that information, and they'll be able to do that. And before you launch and go live, you may want to preview that so you can see what your candidate will see. Anything with an asterisk will be required. And then you can see those questions. So we have the application for employment in our system. We have those accounting manager questions. So everything is coming together, and you can preview that before you go live. Okay, let's talk about scoring. So you probably received quite a few candidates. Scoring allows you to give values to the answers to those questions, or you can have a KO or a knockout. So let's say a degree is required and the candidate says no, they don't have one. That can be a knockout. If they say yes, they do have one, you can give them point values. That's going to calculate an overall score for your candidate and may help you narrow down your pool. And we'll see that in just a minute on our candidate screen. You can also score based off of phrases in the resume that you're looking for. Let's come over to launch. And the first thing we have listed here, if you are using premium texting, this is where you will set up your text code word. You'll see the number associated with your account, so you may have some materials, a sign. If you'd like to apply, please text this code to this number, and that will go ahead and give your candidate a link to go ahead and apply. So if they're out and about, if they're on their phone, they can quickly and easily do that. So that would be, again, that's premium texting, text to apply, and the ability to trigger in your workflow. Coming down, we have our job boards. The public job board is tied to your website, so you have a unique URL that you will embed behind careers for a list of opportunities. Click here. Could be structured a number of different ways, but you can post to your site. Your internal job board allows you to post to your current employees, maybe give them a 5-day head start before you push that out to the public. So same idea, you'll have a link. You can either email that out or put it on a company intranet, and then your internal candidates can apply as well. We have Indeed sponsored, so you will need to post organically to Indeed before you're allowed to sponsor that, but that will give you some additional visibility. There is an additional charge affiliated with that, but they will go ahead and walk you through that process. So you will see for your budget how many candidates they anticipate that you'll receive. So again, we have some instructions here. Your job needs to be posted organically for at least 8 hours in order for that to work. Coming down, we have Google for Jobs, Indeed Organic, and LinkedIn Limited available for you. You would need an account or paid inventory to post to Career Builder, Dice, Monster, and ZipRecruiter. JobTarget has 25,000 plus sites that you can post to. There is a delivery charge. Some sites are free, others are paid, but there is a delivery charge regardless, but it's very transparent as you go through that process. It will make recommendations on where to post for you when you go to post to JobTarget. Your social media, Twitter and LinkedIn, you can post there. And then we have the manual posting links available. So let's say you need to post to a site not listed above. Maybe you're going to a local university, or you're going to Craigslist. You can go ahead and copy paste one of these 2 links into your posting, assuming they accept URLs in their postings. And then candidates will come back and be tied to that source for you. So this is a unique URL. It will change when I change that source. So that's how it's going to tie everything back. So when you post to these sites, you can set it up in your system so you know where your candidates are coming from as they come back into the system. The benefit being they all come back into one place. You're not having to log into various sites to access those candidates. They're all going to be tracked in one place for you. Okay, so that is our job process. At that point, you'll have some candidates coming into the system. So I did want to point out a few things here. At the very top, we have our filters. If you want to see candidates in a particular stage and so forth, you can filter those out. I'm just opening those up. So we get quite a few questions. I can't see these candidates. That might be one reason why. Go ahead and open those filters up. I'll go ahead and sort based on that score because I want to show you the scoring functionality we talked about. So your candidates with a little bit higher score might be a better fit for you than candidates with a lower score. And that pink KO means knockout. So that means that that candidate answered a question that took them out of consideration. So in this case, they answered no to do you have a degree? Okay, so your candidate view, similar to the jobs table, is going to give you a snapshot. You can see if we have a resume attached, if we have a texting phone number. You'll see this little icon here. You can customize this, so you can have maybe hire date. You can track that information. So this is able to be modified by you. We have the stage that your candidate is in, so this is how you will track your candidates through the process. We have an average feedback column and so forth. Let's go ahead and walk through a candidate profile. Same as the job, we're just going to walk through these tabs so we can see basic information about our candidate. The resume, we have an offer letter that has been attached. We've got the cover letter information. Coming over to resume, I can see the resume preview. We have some arrow keys available for you in the upper right, so you can go through candidate profiles without having to come back to that main candidate table. You can just advance through your candidates that way. Okay, answers and feedback. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Any answers that the candidate submitted will appear here. So employment application, any custom questions that you attached. Feedback would be anything provided regarding the candidate. So if you did a phone screen with your candidate, your phone screen notes would be recorded here. If we had an interview feedback form that was completed, that will be recorded here as well. So this is where you will go likely. Let's say if you ever have an audit, you need to refer back to that. Why did you hire this candidate over that candidate? That information will be right here. Okay, and from here you can add feedback or you can submit a questionnaire directly from here. The history of the candidate will be pretty important. It looks like I don't have a whole lot here, but we can see when the candidate was added to a job. We can see emails that were sent to or regarding the candidate, any system changes, when did they change stage. That will all be tracked here, and we can add a quick note about that candidate if we would like. Okay, back on our candidate view, I do want to walk you through this menu on the right. We do have a few options for you to upload candidates into your system. So let's say somebody emails you a referral, you can go ahead and upload them into the system. Add a job will allow you to add them to an additional job that they might be a fit for. The search is pretty important. So I was always taught as a recruiter, first thing I would go in is, or first thing I would do is go in and search. Do I have any candidates already in my system that might be a fit? So you can search by keyword. That will search the resumes and the cover letters. I can search within so many miles of zip code for that skill set. Maybe I remember their name, but I don't remember where in the system they are. I can search by name. Maybe I have a question, do you speak any additional languages? I can search based on that. And then from there, those results will pop up. You can go ahead and send out an email blast. You'd applied in the past, we have a new opening. Are you potentially interested? So that is pretty important to use. You can email your candidates directly from the system. So we can see who that email is going to. You can choose a template, or you can just type directly into this box. You can send immediately or delay. You can go ahead and attach information. So let's say you have a benefit summary you need to send. You could do that. And some of our customers collect very tentative information coming into the system. We could send a full-blown application for employment later if we know, or when we know that we're interested in that candidate, just as an example, and they will be prompted to complete that information. Okay, here's that texting candidate, so you can use that over here as well. Tasks and events. A task is a general reminder, maybe just phone screen a candidate. Very similar to event, except event is more date and time bound. So let's go ahead and go into an event. Use case might be an interview. You can go ahead and assign that to your interview team who needs to be involved. Give that a name. We've got some spots for you to put some notes in there. You can select a time or invite your candidate to select a time. If you're using Office 365 or Gmail, you can sync up your calendars so that you can see your team's availability from within the system. You'll assign a start and end time. You can include an invite to your candidate. You can assign the interview evaluation form and send a reminder every so often until that user completes that. So this is going to trigger an invite to our candidate. It will also send users an email with an option to add it to their calendar from that email. And it will come to that homepage notification section that we saw. Okay, coming down, we can go ahead and set fields. So once we know this information, for example, hire date, we can come in and set that information. You can set the stage. Set job will allow you to move the candidate from one job to another if you think they might be a fit. We typically don't recommend deleting anything out of the system, but if you absolutely must, that delete option is available here as well. Okay, now that we've talked through jobs and candidates, that is, the basic core functionality of the system, let's talk about our system setup a little bit. So I want to come into our library. This will save you some time. We've got a lot of options for you. You can create job templates in your library. So when you have a new job, you'll have that available. You can pull that in. You're not having to copy and paste into the system every time you have a new job. You'll have that available. Questionnaires could be questions for you, for your candidate. It could even be for a third party. So for example, we have that application for employment. Our standard one is available for you to use. We've got some interview evaluation forms. So these are customizable. You can create a new one. You can modify these, but feel free to use those and populate that after an interview. Let's say I'm doing a phone screen. I want to make sure I'm being consistent in the questions that I'm asking. I may create a phone screen form. As I'm speaking with that candidate, I can populate that information. And if you're doing, let's say, reference checks, you can have that automated, or you can call your references, and same idea. You can populate that information, track that with the candidate information. Messages, we can see here, is that an email, is that a text? We can go ahead and have templates available. We have merge codes available as well. So if we want that to automatically populate, thank you for applying for this job, we would pull in the job title and the system is going to automatically populate that for us and save us some time. Okay, tasks and events. Let's say you've got different things that need to happen for different types of interviews. Perhaps your instructions will vary. So if you come to this office, please ask the front desk to contact so-and-so, might be an example. So you can go ahead and have multiple types of events. And let's come into our document section. So this would allow you to create, best use case I can think of would be an offer letter. You can upload a logo. There will be some steps involved to populate that, but you can have merge fields. You'll populate the pay rate, the start date, you will have this many vacation days, and so forth. So again, you can have as many versions of that as you need, part-time, full-time, it just varies. Okay, we'll come over to our reports section. Everyone well, certain users in the system will have access to reports, but everyone should be able to see. We've got some dashboard reports. We have some reports here at the bottom. I do want to go into just a couple. Let's go into source performance. Do need to open that up just a little bit. We'll run that through today. This is going to show us where our candidates are coming from, and of your hired candidates, where do they come from? So this is going to show you where your quality candidates are coming from. Maybe you want to continue to invest in those resources versus over some of the other ones that you're posting to. Okay, coming down, let's go ahead and look at time and stage for hired candidates. This is also a visual report. 2014, let's run that. Okay, so this will show us where our bottlenecks are in the system. So this candidate spent quite a bit of time in manager review. Keep in mind this is a demo account, but this will show you where you can tighten up some of those items or in your process. Okay, these reports can be modified. You can clone them, you can edit them, create your own. They can be sent out of the system, exported into CSV if you want to work with that report a little bit more. If you have any questions on reports, our technical support team is going to be best able to help you with that. So we would go ahead and have you submit a ticket via the Help Center, and then they'll be able to help you with those questions. Okay, we are going to go into our setup just a little bit. I just want you to be aware that this is out here. Your administrator user has access to your setup, but they will be able to modify the system as needed. So let's say a candidate does not show up for an interview and we don't currently have that stage available to put them into. We can come in, we can create a stage and call that no show for interview. And then that will be available for you to use to put your candidate into that stage. We mentioned the workflow where you are automating. So at the very beginning, we talked about jobs, then you'll have to select a workflow for them to go through. We have our default one here. You can have as many as you need. So maybe this type of position has one set of steps, a different position has different steps. You can certainly create multiple workflows, but I just want you to be aware of that. So here are our stages: new, manager review, phone screen, interview, and this will allow you to designate what happens at every stage. So at the new stage, the application received email is going to automatically go out. The job owner will get a notification to let them know that there's a new candidate. We have some workflow buttons here that will allow you to move the candidates via those buttons. At manager review, now the hiring manager will have access to the candidate. Once they hit phone screen, we'll have an email go out. We'd like to talk to you. When are you available? So you will simply come down stage by stage. You will edit that. You'll go ahead and modify accordingly. Who receives a notification and so forth. Okay, so just be aware that that's out there. Let's look at job fields. So when we create a new job, what information do we want to track? So do we want to see location? Is that a full-time or a part-time job? And so forth. So this is where you can modify that. So lots of different areas. We would encourage you to just come in and click around, kind of explore that. Lots of things you can do to configure your system. And last area I'd like to mention before we open up to Q&A, our public job board. Just want to walk through a couple options for you here. So as our source value, when a candidate comes in through there, what do we want it to show for the source? Maybe it's company website. Resume can be required or optional, same as the cover letter. Do we want to collect EEOC data? Do we want applicants to have a login? So they can have a username and password, they can apply to multiple jobs without having to re-enter everything in, they can resume or edit an application. Do we want them to be able to edit their profile or not? We have a general job, so candidates can submit a general application. Maybe there's not one currently that they're a fit for. They can go ahead and still apply through that general job. Okay, we have a referrals page with some instructions here where employees can submit candidates. We have the option to parse contact information from the resume into the contact information as they're applying. We have search filters. So maybe we want to allow candidates to filter and say, I only want to see jobs in this location. You would need to open that up for that to work. And you can modify the instructions. So for example, at the opening page, you have the ability to change this text. This is our default, but you can certainly come in and change that information. So it's very flexible to your needs, and you can certainly customize the system as needed. All right, so with that, that was really kind of start to finish. We'll go ahead and open up the floor for questions. And Brandon's going to be helping facilitate with those today. So Brandon, let me know what questions we have coming in.
Thank you, Carol. Great job. Thank you for that demonstration of Recruit. We do have a few questions that have already come in. And if you would like to ask a question, and if you're new to this process, just use the GoToWebinar interface in the question section. You can type that in and we'll see that. We'll take our questions in order. The first question is, could we remove the job ID?
Job ID, I believe that's required. Let's take a peek in our setup. Our support team might be able to answer that a little bit better, but I believe it's a system setting that needs to be there to differentiate. So if you have different jobs, they may have the same title, but you still would need a different job ID to differentiate. So it looks like, I'm guessing it's not able to be removed, but our support team may be able to answer that for sure.
Yeah, I believe that's right. That there is a job ID is always required. All right, the next question is how to pull reports from both the Recruit and onboarding portals.
Yeah, we do have reports available in both. So we have our reports tab. It's going to look pretty much the same on the onboard side, so I don't think we need to flip over, but you'll simply come in, you'll go ahead and you can take a peek at what's available, or you can create your own custom report if you need to. Are you looking for job information? Are you looking for candidate information? So I'm creating a new report now. We'll go ahead and show you briefly. You could pull over, for example, we need the candidate's name. We need when were they created. Coming down from the job fields, what job did they apply to? Okay, and from the application, we can pull in from those questions. Have you ever worked here before? Maybe we need to know that. So lots of different ways. You can either create a custom report or you can use our standard reports. We'll go ahead and run that. So let me just run that for you. Run. And once you have that, you can simply export that information and will come out in the CSV. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Our support team, if you need help modifying a report or creating a new one, if it's a pretty standard report that they can use the standard report builder, they can help you with that.
Okay, great. The next question is, our job application includes questions for drivers. Can we choose to use those questions for some jobs, but not all jobs?
Yes, you can. So let's go in. We'll come back into a job. And so in this case, our application, again, that's included from system settings. You don't have to do that, but you would either add from library and select, the appropriate application, and then you will have the option to attach additional questions. So either new questionnaire or add from library. So anything relevant to drivers, you would simply create those here. Is that a yes/no question? Is that multiple choice? Again, or you can have that in your library and add that from the library, but that will attach specifically to that job. If it just needs to be for that job, let's take a peek at our accounting manager, since I know they have some there. Okay, so you can see included from system settings. That means everyone's going to get that set of questions. Accounting manager is specific to our accounting manager job. So that's how you'll know this is for this job only.
Okay, great. I would add, Marie, that if you are with a home instead account, there are some nuances to the explanation that Carol just gave. If you're using the home instead multi-stage application, it will always include whatever pre-screen questions you have in your caregiver pre-screen questionnaire. If you want to use a shortened application, then it does not automatically include a pre-screen questionnaire, but you can manually add that on a per job basis. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out to me and we can get on a call to walk through that. All right, the next question is there a way to delete old tasks that are past due their usefulness? For example, the job has already been filled.
Yep, absolutely. So I came to our task tab. I jumped ahead a little bit and you can see what our tasks are here. We do have the option to delete that task if it's no longer needed. Okay, great question.
Another question from Marie, how can we export all this data, including attachments, into our HRIS so we don't have to retype everything?
Okay, so couple of things, couple of options. You can come to your candidate tab, you can select your candidates, and you can export right here. That will get their information out into a CSV. Resumes will come out in the format they went in. So for example, Word or PDF. As far as getting that into your HRIS, that is the question mark. Your other option, you can run a report, get a flat file out, and if that HRIS system is willing to take that, you can send it to them for import. Beyond that, depending, we would need to know what your HRIS system is. May or may not have an integration with that already, so we would need a little bit more information.
Okay. All right, you mentioned two types of texting. What are the differences and cost implications?
As far as pricing, we'll defer to your account manager on that, but premium texting does everything that basic texting does, except it has the additional capabilities of that text to apply, so that code word. Let's hop back into our accounting manager job. Let's go back to launch. So you would see the, let me X out of that, the text code word. So text to apply is an option with premium texting, and also triggering text messages in your workflow at a stage change. So those are the two items that premium texting include that basic texting do not.
Okay. This question is, I'm not seeing all the features that you mentioned. Is this because I'm not also a full admin? Can you have two admins?
Yeah, so it's very possible. If you're a hiring manager user in the system, there are certain tabs you will not see. So I believe library reports, that setup section that we were in. If you're a recruiter, you'll have everything except for the setup. So it really just depends on how you're designated in the system. And correct, you can have more than one administrator user. There may be a pricing difference depending on your current license, but your account manager can certainly help with that if you're interested in shuffling and moving around access-wise.
Okay. For phone screen notes, we need to create a questionnaire in the library, correct? Could we do this for interview questions as well, where each individual that participates in the interview can type their notes right into the interview questionnaire?
Yep, correct. So in the library, let's go to questionnaires. So phone screen notes, you can simply create new. And I just have some multi-line text boxes that I created. So questions such as, why are you looking for a new opportunity? Are you willing to relocate? What's your time frame? Let's talk about your background. So that will just open up some space for you to come in and type that information. So when you are speaking with a candidate, you can come into a candidate profile. Let's come back to our feedback. We can submit. Looks like we may have already used it. But yes, you could open up that phone screen form here and populate that as you're speaking with the candidate. That's probably not a great example. Let's see if we can find our interview evaluation form 2. Here we go. Same idea for the interview questions. You can go ahead and create those. As you're speaking with the candidate, you can populate that information, type in some notes, and then you can submit that information, and that's going to track who submitted that, and it will stick with the candidate profile. So one more thing to mention there, with that create event, do want to mention that again. Let's schedule the event. Let's go ahead and come down. We can assign that questionnaire here as well, interview evaluation form, and we can have a little nudge. So every 4th day, they're going to get an email reminder, please complete this interview evaluation form. So I think that answers that question. But correct.
Yeah, the only piece there is they're wondering if the candidate themselves can fill it out. So yeah, you can send the questionnaire to the candidate via text or via email and ask them to fill that out prior to the interview, and then you can do what you want with that information. If you want to use that as a guide in your face-to-face interview to dig deeper into the written answers they gave, you could do that. But any questionnaire can be sent to the candidate at any stage you want. Okay, the next question is it possible to remove the Dropbox option for uploading resume, or can we switch that out for Google Docs?
That seems like it may be a system customization. That may be something that our support team might need to answer. I think that's a system setting. Let's go back into a job. Let's come into Accounting Manager. Let's go over to our questions. Let's preview that. Okay, Dropbox. I can't think of a way that we would remove that. There's not a system setting that we have access to that I'm aware of. Our support team may be able to do that. I might go ahead and put in a quick ticket and just ask if they can remove that for you. Google Docs, I'm thinking that might be a customization, and that's not able to be done, but they can help you with that question.
Okay, the last question is, my account has the orange question mark in the top right corner missing. How can I get that added? I wonder if resizing the window might make that appear. That's kind of strange.
Yeah, that should be there. I think for all users, that should be there. You might want to try holding control and scrolling with your mouse key. It looks like it's still staying there. So I'm not sure why that wouldn't be showing for you. I think it should be showing for all users.
Yeah. Well, that's our last question. Thanks again, Carol, and again, great job, and thank you all for being with us.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Brandon, for the help, and everyone for attending. I did want to mention we have an Ask Me Anything presentation on August 31st. If you'd like to attend, we'll have a quick topic that we'll review, and then we'll, similar to today, open up the floor for questions. It doesn't have to be related to that topic. It can be anything ApplicantStack. So I think we're in a good spot. And again, thank you everyone for your time and for attending today, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks everyone. Take care.